Hey y'all, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video, so it's like you're my first guest at my house. So welcome, because you literally are a guest at my home. Here is where I'll be taping all of our gatherings together. And on this show, I'll be sharing with you all my indoor and outdoor gardening life, along with some other crafts and creative things. So today I'm going to share with you all some of the projects that I have going on right now. I've been planting and propagating and doing all kinds of things indoors because that's where we're spending most of our time right now during the pandemic, and I have no problem with that because my plants are indoors and they need to be because it's cool outside. We live in zone 7, so we're experiencing a very wet and cold winter, and so my house plants are safe and warm inside with me. Today I'm going to share with you all some of my gardening projects. I'll be planting my Echeverias, and I don't know. I might pull out some of my pots because I love to dress my plants. I guess that's what we can call it. I love to dress my plants and take your suggestions for which pots those plants should live in, well, at least for a little while. So we're going to get started with our first project because we're not going to be here long. I mean, we can talk about plants and in our lives, gardening, and then we have to get up and do some more some more heavy plant lifting and moving, so we can't spend all of our time talking. But while we're here, we can enjoy each other. So I have some Echeverias that I purchased, I think 2 winters ago. They were those red velvet, I think they were called red velvet Echeverias, and I saw them at the grocery store here where I live, and I saw them and I just couldn't stop thinking about them. You know how you see a plant and then you think about it when it's time to go to bed, and you think about it when you wake up, and you're thinking about it while you drive it. Well, I just could not stop thinking about this plant because I wanted to see what it would look like at home, and I wanted to experience what it would be like growing it at home. So I went back and I actually bought one. Now, what I learned about these Echeverias is that, and here's the cutting of it. What I learned about the Echeverias is that they need lots of sunlight to keep that velvety texture on the leaves. And I don't really have a place that's full sun because of the way my house is positioned. I don't have light coming into my house that's full on sun. So it makes it hard for me to grow things that need sunlight, succulents, and even some ferns. So I don't have that full light that a lot of those plants need. So what happens when succulents don't get the light that they need, a couple of different things happen. They can grow tall and thin and langy without any leaves, or with sparse leaves, because they're trying to grow towards the light and they're trying to reach the light, and as they do, they just thin themselves out. They get tall, and they look, I don't know, they don't look as healthy as they could. That's one thing that happens. Another thing that happens is that if they have any kind of variegation or any kind of alteration to their normal makeup, they'll lose that if they don't get the light. So those are some of the things that can happen if you have a succulent or any kind of variegated thing that needs light and it doesn't get light. It's going to adjust. The plant is going to adjust to live. And so that's what mine did. I brought them home. I took care of them. They didn't get the light that they should have. That's on me. That's a lesson that I've learned. You can love all the plants, but you can't have all the plants because you might not have the right environment for the plant. So I brought the plant home. I tried to grow the plant. It didn't work out. I kept them alive, but barely alive. So I had the Echeverias inside, and then I moved them outside during the summer, and they survived the summer. When summer ended and winter began, I brought them back inside because they don't like cold. And so my Echeverias turned into these tall, velvety palm trees. Okay, they were tall, now they're short. But they turned into this. And they actually regained their velvet texture on the leaves, which I was happy about. So they're still red and velvety, but they didn't grow any more leaves, and they just grew taller without growing it bigger. They grew taller, but they didn't grow bigger. So I want to give them a new life, and I'm going to replant them. I'm going to replant them in soil that I put together, and I'm going to put them in a new pot so that they can try to grow new roots, because they had grown so long. And I may be able to show you how long they grew. They grew tall and long, and I trimmed them and I let them dry up and callus where the cutting was, and I actually put some cinnamon on it. You know why? Because I watch Miss Maria, and that's what Miss Maria does with her down in Florida. That's what she does with her succulents. She sprinkles a little cinnamon on them. Not to eat them, don't eat them, but she sprinkles a little cinnamon on them to keep them from getting any kind of bacteria, and the cinnamon is a root stimulator. So I sprinkled cinnamon on mine. We're going to see what it does. I'm going to plant them up with you in the soil medium, the planting medium that I prepared for our gathering today. And we're going to see what they look like. So as long as you stick around, like, and subscribe, then you can keep up with what happens to my red velvet Echeverias. And we can stay in touch and talk about it, because you may be growing some at your home, and you may be able to share some tips with me. So I have a couple of things prepared for us. I'm going to plant in this little teapot. And I also have these little they look like shot glasses, don't they? Can you see that? So I buy these things like this from the thrift store, or yard sales, or estate sales. I buy things that I can put plants in, and I collect them. I collect them so that I have them when I need them. So I have these little shot glasses, which are nice for starting plants, even though it doesn't have a hole, but I have a mixture that will hopefully take care of that. It doesn't have a hole, but I do have charcoal in my mixture, which helps when you have plantings that are in vessels that don't have a hole. And then I have this teapot, my teapot pot. So I'm going to put this shot glass in the teapot pot like this. And hopefully these Echeveria will be all right in there. They don't need a lot of water. That's why I'm not worried about having a hole in this shot glass. So they don't need a lot of water, but they do need some kind of medium, I guess, to grow. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so I'm going to put this in this teapot. That's where it's going to go. And then I'm going to stick the calloused over Echeverias in that medium, in the soil medium. So this is a mixture of perlite, charcoal, and I had some sphagnum moss. I didn't have any I don't have anything that's specifically made for succulents, but I just used some sphagnum moss and some charcoal and perlite. And that's what I'm going to put in there. So we'll see. I mean, plants have the desire and will to live. So if they want to live, they'll make it work. So I'm just putting this in here. I'm scooping it in with this spoon. Yeah. So it's nice and airy, and I can just stick these stems in here, and I might knock a leaf off because it happens sometimes. But I'm just going to stick these in here, and we're going to see how they do. We're going to see if they like this, and I'm just going to leave them in here because they don't need that much attention. So I'm just going to leave it in there like that. Maybe they'll grow, but I just like the fact that the pot had this little flower on it. Had this little red flower. I said, okay, I think these little red flowers will be at home in this little pot. So there we go. These Echeveria, these red velvet Echeverias are going to live in that shot glass inside my little teapot pot. And I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of water on it because, I mean, don't you want something to drink when you come in the house? So I'm just going to put a little bit of water. That's it. That's it. Just to get it started. So now we have our little teapot pot down here. Yeah. So hopefully that'll live. So we'll see how that does. So you'll have to check in with me to see how that does. So that's our first little project together. I would like to hear from you all. Why don't you leave me a comment? Let me know, do you grow any succulents? What are your experiences with growing succulents? Where do you grow them in your house? I'm going to work on utilizing more of my window space. That's what I would like to do. Figure out how to use my window space to grow more plants. That's what I'm working on. So I have some projects that I am working on right now, and in the future I'll share those with you. So thank you for joining me. Hope you all enjoyed it. My name's Kelly, and I'll see you all next time.